Yes, yes, yes. It is a cast-worthy podcast, and we are back. Two-thirds of us once again. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed on the X Machine, joined today by Senior VP, the self-proclaimed research king. EJ is off, I think, at a cheer competition of sorts. Probably checking out the MILFs, single moms, doing his dad thing. So, shout out to him. We'll catch him next week when he gets back. It is June 9th, Sunday, June 9th, and it is scorching hot outside. It's ridiculously, this, I don't know. I don't know how to cope with this shit. Castworthy Podcast, where can you find us? Pretty much anywhere. Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, if you want the video, Facebook, look for Castworthy Podcasts, Instagram, it's Castworthy_podcast, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can find us, and Twitter, of course, as well, or X, whatever you want to call it. So, interact, like, love, hate, whatever you want to do. We're here. VP, what's going on?
Not much, man. What to do?
Ain't nothing. Hanging out, watching the world, paying attention, seeing how the spokesperson for hate has changed America once again. It's amazing, yo. I don't think can you think of any single individual in American history that has ever had this kind of, and of course we haven't lived through it all, but that has had this kind of impact where it just puts everyone against each other.
I mean, there were I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I had suggested to EJ that he either check out the book or the podcast by Rachel Maddow called Ultra, and she dives into this topic of like fascism and how a lot of, because we don't teach history in this country, a lot of us think like, oh, it's never been like this, and it actually was like this back in the 30s and 40s. And there was a guy, his name was like Father Coughlin, or it was something with a C, something like that, or whatever. I think that's his name, though. Father Coughlin. He was a Catholic priest, and he had a radio show. And his weekly radio show, I think he was doing like 3 million listeners a show,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, in today's numbers, that's still a big audience. But like in the 1940s, that would be like, I think that would be like the equivalent of, I think she said something like, if like 60-70 million people were listening to this guy, you know
Okay.
and he was a Nazi sympathizer, and he was basically trying to get people to support fascism and support the Nazis and shit. And um and she goes into like all these plots of like people who try to take over the government. Like, it wasn't no storming the Capitol or anything like that, but you had people who were sitting members of Congress who literally were Nazi sympathizers and wanted to take Hitler's side and stuff like that. And um everything old is new again, right? And those same people, it's like, yo, how come I never heard of these people? What happened to them? You would think that they were going to get indicted and stuff like that, and that the Department of Justice was investigating them, and then they used their power as sitting members of Congress to essentially make the investigations go away, and that's why none of them ended up getting charged or whatever. So you know, so we've been down this road before, but I don't know. I don't know if it's ever been to this extent, though.
Mm. Yeah, it seems kind of it seems like the impact is crazy. The Trump impact is probably more than anybody that I can remember personally, and definitely in our lifetime. Um, just because it comes and goes, right? Like I could see if it was consistent, but like it's it kind of slowed down a little bit for the last year. I mean, you still have people talking about it, you still have people talking shit to each other, whatever. But like the last week, like when you pay attention to just the amount of hate and anger and frustration that people have towards each other because of this one individual, it's out of control. I mean, from Congress to, the bums on the street. I seen a bum yesterday on the street that had on a bum now, a homeless person who's begging for money. You don't know who's inside these cars. He's holding a sign, but he has a shirt that says, and I'm sure it was given to him by probably someone driving by, but hashtag FJB. We know that, right?
Mhm.
On, on the back, it said some wild shit. He turns around and said something. And I'm like, dog, you are asking for money. Like, if I was a sympathizer, guess what? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even matter who you are in society. This man has some level of impact. And it's just crazy, yo. It's crazy how we are as a people. Like, even me personally, I'll tell you a story. Like, I was looking at Facebook yesterday, and I have a Facebook friend, somebody I went to high school with that is super right wing,
Mhm.
um, Trump supporter, right? I mean, they were in DC on January 6th. Not at the Capitol, but they were there,
Mhm.
right? So that's how much they're. And so I've gone and back and forth with this person, and they posted something that was like personal to them, and I immediately went into this like negative, like, well, fuck you, that's what you get type of attitude, like mantra, and I had to I had to check myself, like what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like it was because it was something that you could be empathetic to, right? And I'm an empath. So as I'm reading it, immediately I'm like, that's what you get. You know what I mean? And so but just
No,
doing better. Gotta do better.
I think you're absolutely right, man. I caught myself. This was a few years ago. I think Trump was actually in office when this happened, and me and my wife were having a conversation about something that he did, and I was like, I can't stand this motherfucker. I wish that and then I said some foul shit that I won't say on the pod.
I can probably guess it.
Like after I said it, I was like, I hate how this dude makes me feel because like this isn't me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
And I don't typically like wish ill on people. You know what I mean? And like I feel like he's gotten us to a place where it's like it's okay to hate each other, you know?
mhm,
And this is something that, fascism does, right? Is that because the thing with fascism is it always needs an enemy, right? And so it's why, you know, with Trump, it's like, oh, the Mexicans are sending, essays across the border and they're dumping out their mental hospitals and drugs and all this other stuff, and then they focus on gays and whoever is the other, you know what I mean. With the Nazis it was the Jews, with the Russians it's basically you know it's the West, it's gays, people in the West, you can't trust them. Everybody's against us. And so you always have to have some kind of enemy to point the people at. And then the solution is always the guy, whoever your strongman is, whether it's, Mussolini, whether it's Hitler, Vladimir Putin, Viktor Orban in Hungary, or Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And so there's this enemy out there. Nobody's doing anything about it. And so you gotta put me in there because I'm the person that can fix it, you know? And it's all, I mean, like this stuff is basically tried and true. It's not, it's not much new to the game in terms of fascism, with the exception of the information spreads more quickly because of social media.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate, man, but as weird as it sounds and as bad as it sounds, we kind of need like a national event to happen that will kind of bring people together. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what that is, because there's always going to be casualties there, and you just never know how where it would be or who it would come against. But um, something has to change, yo, because like as you you sort through and you read through on social media and you look just even at people, and now it's getting to the point where people are just bold, like giving their takes in person, like at work. Used to be like, you're at work, you don't talk about politics, right? And I heard somebody this week say something. I was like, damn, yo, like, dog. And this is not like a bottom level frontline person. This was like a senior leadership type of person. I'm just like, yo, you where are we, yo?
You know what else I think it is though is that like and I would say for us and a lot of people who think like us, a lot of us think that Trump is racist, right? And so it's like you hear people supporting him, and it's like you kind of I guess like for I'll say for me, like I look at it like, yo, I think this dude is racist and you're supporting him, which makes me now question you, you know um
Hmm.
and then if you're a person who looks like me, it then makes me think like, what the hell is wrong with you? Let's
Right.
do, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's like the beginning of it. And I think that's how you get to that point of, like you said, with the person on Facebook, you see something, and then where it's normally a situation where you would feel empathy for that person, like, oh man, you send them a message, hopefully everything's gonna go okay, keeping you in my thoughts or prayers, or whatever your jam is in terms of that kind of stuff, and instead of having that reaction, your first thought is, that's what you get. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
And not to like laugh about it, but I think that's how a lot of us get there, is that we feel one way about this person, and it's like, you know what the fuck, and the thing that really bothers me with that crowd is like the willful ignorance. I don't know if I posted in the chat yesterday, but I saw a video yesterday of like these guys who do interviews at Trump rallies and stuff, and they're talking and they're like, "Oh, these charges is BS," blah 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 blah. And they were like, "And what about Hunter Biden or whatever?" And the guy was like, "Yeah," like the interviewer, he's like leaning into it, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, taking $2.5 billion from the Saudis, like that needs to be investigated. Like that doesn't look good. Like just because you have a parent in the White House doesn't mean that you should get $2.5 billion from a foreign government, right?" And the guy was like, "Exactly. Like how come he's not chasing, getting charges on that?" And the guy was like, well, actually, I mean, that's Jared Kushner who did that, Trump's son-in-law, Ivanka's husband. And the dude
Hmm.
was like, I mean, I don't really know a lot about that, and then his
Hmm.
girl pulls him away, you know, and it's like, yeah, we can't talk about that,
Right.
and like, the willful like ignorance. It's just it's infuriating, because it's like, okay, you say whatever is wrong with Joe Biden, and then this same stuff is happening with Trump and his family, and you just brush it away like it's nothing to see here or whatever, which just says you really don't care about the things that you tell me you care about.
Hmm. And it's not even just. I mean, it's that, but also adding to that, that you're unaware of it. Like you're so far unaware of it that you can be tricked like that,
Hmm.
right? Like if you're that far unaware of stuff like that or something that important, that you can be tricked that easily, you probably shouldn't put yourself in a position to be having that conversation. Like have that conversation in the background with your friends that are consistent with in thought with you, right? Not with someone on the other side that can simply turn to you and be like, "Yo, what about XYZ?" And you're like, "Yeah, lock him up." And you're like, well, really, that was Donald Trump Jr." You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, right? Like, it's just it's crazy, man. But
Yeah.
whatever. We're living through a weird time. It's been an interesting week. Um, we can circle back around to some of that so that we if we need to, but let's get to
Well,
some.
get us out of here with that real quick, man. Like, is that? I mean, it's not a big week in politics, So, basically, you had Joe Biden's over in France. It's the anniversary of D-Day. So he was over there for that. Met with a lot of World War II veterans on both sides, American, French. Visited the memorial sites, that kind of thing, like that. Hunter Biden's been in trial all week on his gun charges. The first lady was there supporting him, as well as his family. His girlfriend testified, or his girlfriend, who was his brother's widow. Uh,
Dog, dog.
yeah, that situation was crazy. Yeah, I remember when I first heard it. Like how you hear something, like it was one of those things. I think I was like on my phone or something, but I had the TV on, and they said it, and it's like, wait, what? Like, and I backed it
She
up.
she has a type, yo.
Uh, but yeah, so she testified this week, and then also his daughter. I think his daughter testified. I think she's still on the stand, so she'll be back on Monday when they resume. Um, yeah, so that's happening. Trump is supposed to be meeting with his probation officer at some point in the coming weeks, to do like a pre-sentencing report that goes to the judge, and the judge will use that and determining his sentence for Trump. We got a debate upcoming in the next couple of weeks, and on June 26th, between Trump and Biden, a presidential debate. And then we had the jobs report this week. Congress basically isn't doing shit. You've had a couple of key Republicans who said they won't vote for Trump. Chris Christie, Mike Pence, and then now former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. So yeah, I mean, it's not. It hasn't been a heavy week.
Trump is on probation.
No, he's not on probation. He has to go and
Oh,
meet.
okay.
I call the person a probation officer. I don't know what their title is, but it's like in New York. Basically, once you're convicted, you go to some kind of office, and the person interviews you, and they talk about, like, your criminal history, and they have like a long like interview with you, and then they write up a report, like a sentencing report, that goes to the judge. And the reason that they do this in New York, I don't know wherever else they do it. They don't do it in I don't think they do it like in the federal system, but they could. Maybe I just don't know. Because what happens is that when the judge is doing sentencing, the prosecution submits a sentencing memo, the defense team submits a sentencing memo, and of course the prosecution is going to be like, "Yeah, he should be under the prison." The the defense is going to be,
Defense.
just let him off with a warning, and then,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then so
Won't
this
happen again.
right, and then this like organization acts like as a middleman to say, these are the facts of the case. This is what we saw. We interviewed this person, and this is what we recommend that the judge should do. And then the judge does whatever he or she wants to do anyway. But they use all those memos kind of like as guidance.
Gotcha. Yep. 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 Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, a whole lot of nothing going on. We'll keep an eye on it, and you know, I could give you the political landscape from an Instagram standpoint. A bunch of websites or people posting stuff to try and get likes or dislikes, clicks about Trump and Biden, and then you got a bunch of people in the comments that have no clue what they're talking about, just randomly spouting off at the mouth. And then you got people like what's the bald headed girl's name? She baddie too. Amber Rose. Amber Rose just came out again and doubled down on her backing of Trump, and so of course the tabloids or the blogs grabbed that and put them on and put it on Instagram, and so those comments were interesting to watch. People going back and forth like, oh, what has Biden done for black people? And then somebody pops in, well, tell me one thing Trump's done for black people, and then neither one of them respond. They're just like, dog, just sit this one out. Sit
Yeah.
this one out.
That's the thing that's always amazing to me, is that like people, like especially like our black celebrities, that's always the go-to, is what's been done for black people. And it's like, well, what did Trump, and this is the thing that again that makes me infuriated when we have these kind of conversations, right? Because typically in almost all of our elections, right, except for one, or this will be the second time this has happened, there's usually either two, it's usually an open seat for the presidency, right? Like in the case of, when Obama leaves office, you got Hillary and Trump because Obama had met his term limits. George Bush leaves office, McCain, Obama. Clinton leaves office, Bush. Well, not really, because you had Al Gore running as VP. You know,
Hmm.
so for the most part, it's usually either an open seat or you have an incumbent running against a newcomer, against a challenger, right?
Right.
But in this case, the guy who's running is the former president right before the current president.
Hmm.
People make it seem like Trump has no record. And the reason I bring that up is that typically when the new guy is running, it's easy to be like, there's all these problems, and this is what I would do. Things would be different under me. Like with Obama, like that was part of why his slogan was so good. Change you can believe in. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And because you're telling people, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be change. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. And all people have to go off of is your words, and do they trust you? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But with Trump, this guy's been president. He was president for 4 years, and people, it seems like they don't know that time existed or something. You know, and it's like, if it was me, we'd be doing this. This wouldn't be like this. This wouldn't be this. I'm gonna do boo boo boo. And it's like, what did he do for black people when he was there last time? Because
Hmm.
it's one thing to say he's gonna be doing X, Y, Z. And it's like, well, why didn't he do it last time?
Right.
What was he waiting for?
Right. Well, they didn't. The thing that's what we talk about, right? And that got a lot of it. I think got washed away, because the end of his presidency was COVID. People were inside. People were forgetting, and because they were inside, they were not spending money. So their bank accounts looked a little bit better, right? And so they feel like they had more money at the time. Then they got the stimmy, and that's the only stimmy they remember. They don't remember anything after that, right? So they feel like, oh, he did this for us. We were struggling, right? And then now you go through inflation. And so when you're looking at inflation, people are thinking, oh, economy's fucked up, right? Which in reality, for a lot of people, it is. But then when you look at the reality of it and look at some of the actual numbers like the stock market and stuff like that, things look a lot better than what they were, but people don't pay attention to that because our people really don't generally take part one in the stock market. Two, they don't pay attention to 401k. They don't put it into 401k, or they don't have it to put into 401k, right? So they're not looking at that regularly, and they don't understand that is in a better place. So I think again it goes back to that, all of that, and then pair it with the people that aren't doing any research or paying attention to anything that was done, right? The simple, Supreme Court, the face of the Supreme Court is pretty much created by Trump at this point, right? And what that looks like and how that can really impact the country is big. So when people say, oh, and you said, we already have this history of him, I think people feel like, that meme, but did you die? You know what I mean? And all they're thinking about is, yo, when I go to the grocery store now, my bill is this, and you can't complain about gas prices because gas prices have kind of come a little, come around to where they should be. So you can't complain about that. Can't complain about black unemployment because it's at the lowest that it's been, right? So,
Mhm.
but they don't want to go to work. Niggas don't want to go to work. They're looking for reparations. That's what it is.
Point you made on gas prices. I posted this. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. I posted a news clip in the chat like 2 days ago, and it's titled "How Joe Biden Broke OPEC." Right? OPEC is the the group of oil producing nations.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
like a bunch of Middle Eastern countries, Russia, whatever, and they kind of control like the world's oil markets, and they can either cut production, increase production, and what they do typically impacts gas prices, not just in the United States but around the world. And because oil prices were kind of low, they cut production in order to cut the supply and demand, which then makes the price of oil go up, and and then makes the price of gas go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, about a year or two ago when gas prices was crazy. In California it was like $7 a gallon. In New York it was like $5-6 a gallon or whatever. Joe Biden does what every single the story talks about how he does what every single U.S. president does. They go over they take a trip to Saudi Arabia to beg the Saudis to increase production, and Joe Biden does that. And he caught a bunch of shit for it because during the campaign he had criticized the Saudis because they killed that Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi,
Hmm.
and um, Biden talked about how they were brutal and all this kind of stuff like that. And now he's over there, kissing their ass, begging for oil. And so he goes over there and he asks them to increase production, and the Saudis ask him, "Okay, what are you gonna do for us?" And Biden's like, "Nothing. And I need you guys to do me a solid." And they're like, "Yeah, well, fuck that, you know." Like, we want something. We want to be more transactional. You scratch our back, we scratch your back.
Right.
Biden says, "Okay, cool, no problem. I'll play your game." So he comes back to the U.S. and then announces that he's releasing 180 million barrels from the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is
Hmm.
basically a reserve of oil that we've had since we started having trouble with these oil producing countries back in the 70s. We now have our own oil reserve that we just keep in the bank in case, for a rainy day. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm. Like a
So,
savings account.
huh?
Like a savings account.
Right. And this stuff happens all the time. Presidents are always releasing oil from the SPR, but usually it's like, oh, we're going to release 12 million barrels here, 20 million barrels there. Biden it releases 180 million barrels and floods the market with fresh, cheap oil, which then starts bringing gas prices down, or oil prices down. Now he threatens the oil market makers basically, like, yo, y'all buying this oil or what? You know what I mean? Like, he basically starts throwing his dick around. And now the
Hmm.
oil traders are like, I mean, I don't really want this American oil because, boo, 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 I got these relationships with these other countries, but I don't want to piss off the US because you don't want to be on their back. You don't want to see me when I'm angry. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And so they start buying up the oil. Then Biden comes back on the backside, and when the oil prices get low, he basically starts selling the oil at like 90 something dollars a barrel, and then starts buying it back once oil got down to 60 to replenish the SPR or whatever. Now that he's done this, he's essentially let OPEC know, I'm not gonna let you guys fucking manipulate the market anymore. So you try this shit again, and I'm gonna come back at you again and release more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, since he's done that, the oil market has been nice and stable, and you've seen gas prices come down and stay somewhat consistent. You know what I'm saying? But the
Yeah.
point of this whole story, and I know this was kind of a long windup, was that one, he did this, but two, people don't even know about it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You it's you see a little bit of change here and there, right? You see some spikes and then you see some come downs, right? Which is normal. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's
goes
what you
up
do with
and down sometimes, but it stays pretty, pretty even kill.
yeah, it's what you do with just about anything, right? This people do with their crypto trading. It's what people do with their stocks and stuff like that, right? Prices up, sell. It comes down, buy, right? Buy low, sell high. And that's ultimately what needed to take place. But also, I think what you could kind of brush off a little bit that maybe people don't realize is you apply pressure to those to OPEC by giving all these kickbacks on electric vehicles, right? The 7,500 up front, giving all these incentives to the sellers, to Ford, to Tesla, to Honda, who's just come out with a electric vehicle, Acura. All these companies are now putting out EVs. They're all getting crazy kickbacks from the government. They're giving the consumer kickbacks as a $7,500 tax credit for the purchase of that, right? And so now you got less people that are going to be dependent on it, and so you got people like Elon, who is super right wing, right? And the right wing is generally the people that are against the electric vehicles. They're fighting it, but he doesn't understand that, and I don't know if this is truly just due to the failure of Tesla and how they've been acting lately or dealing lately, but he just dumped his Tesla prices down to almost half price, right? Where you can go get a Model Y today for 37,000. That's
Mm,
before your savings in gas. That's before your savings in maintenance, right? Maybe your electric bill goes up $30 a month, but if you're saving $150 a month, right, on gas, you don't have to worry about changing your fluids. You don't have to worry about oil changes and stuff like that, right? Now you got savings there. So you cut the price there. Um, Hertz on the back end just put 700,000 Teslas up for sale that they bought that were 2022 and 2023 at
mm,
damn near free. You can buy a 2022 or 2023 Tesla Model 3 for 25K today, 24,000, 25,000 today. And 3 years ago, you were paying 75,000 for a 3. You were paying almost 100,000 for a Y. Like it's crazy, right? So now, anytime when you go out into the streets, especially here in Orlando, where it's big, you will see. I mean, I've noticed like every block I go down now, there's two, three, four Teslas between lights because people are buying that up, and so now you got people depending on electricity and getting electric vehicles, less demand for oil, right? And I think that also causes a strain to those countries.
yeah, for sure.
So,
The thing that the biggest problem for us with electric vehicles is where it's I think we as a country are kind of living that model, if you build it, they will come, because
mhm,
we're building the vehicles before we really get the infrastructure in place for like charging and stuff like
right,
that. So that's the big drawback for electric vehicles. If I'm somebody who, you know, take a lot of road trips and stuff like that, I can't rely on an electric vehicle if I don't got nowhere to charge it when I'm on the road or what.
right. And that's why you have these other companies like Ford, or they're now on the Tesla network because Tesla has the network, right? It's like AT&T. All phone lines in America, every phone line in America runs on AT&T. AT&T owns the original phone lines of all time, right? And
Yeah.
so Tesla is they're going to kind of have that model where they've got the superchargers just about everywhere. And if you can get on, if they can charge Ford X amount, if they can charge Acura, Honda, whoever X amount, to be like, hey, you can let your people charge on our network, but we get a kickback from it. It makes sense, right? That's where they'll make their money. But you're
And that
right.
we need to upgrade our power grid too, because now you're putting more stuff on the
Mhm.
grid, these chargers, the cars, stuff like that. So you need to like upgrade the electrical grid as well, because that's gonna, it's gonna have impact down the road. The more and more electric vehicles we get, the more strain it's gonna put on the electrical grid.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I've been looking into electrical as well, electric vehicle and EV recently as well, pretty heavily. And so I'm really close. I'm like on the edge of I was going to take the plunge into Tesla. But I missed. They had a week there where they did a 0.99 APR.
Mm,
0.99, so basically a 1% APR. And dude, I'm telling you, we went from 2 Teslas in my parking lot at work to 8 Teslas in a week. Like it was like you turn around, three new Model Ys, a Model 3, like it's crazy, right? And when I went to look, I'm like, oh shit, I'm grabbing it. I'm at 1%, I'm buying it. You know what I mean? I looked and they were back up to 6%. So
mm,
I'm watching. They do another deal like that, and it's curtain, especially at the prices that they got them at right now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'm thinking like shit, and people, like, I guess people don't realize, like, if you cop it at that price, even if your payment is 500, right? You're gonna save a minimum $100 a month on gas, minimum.
more than
Even
that.
if you don't, right? Even if you don't drive, right? If you don't drive that much, you work from home, you're gonna save a minimum $100 a month. Shit, I'm gonna save on one vehicle about $210 a month on
Yeah,
my
I was
car,
gonna say, on your vehicle, you're probably filling up once, maybe twice a week.
sometimes twice a week. Yeah, if I
Yeah.
do some driving, so it just doesn't make sense. It's easy money, easy money. So that's what I'm paying attention. But anyway, the Boston Massacre took place a couple nights ago. The NBA Finals, Dallas Mavericks went into Boston for Game One. What was that? Thursday night.
Thursday.
Thursday night. And I was watching everything. I was watching the news. I was watching all over. I'm looking at a lot of betting sites, to try and get my bets in and stuff. And
Mhm.
and it seems like everybody has had a little bit of recency bias, but also, I think the the lack of information around Porzingis also skewed some numbers where people were just like, "Yo, Dallas in 4, Dallas in 5, Dallas in 6." Like, "Yo, Dallas is the bet. Dallas is the bet. Dallas is the bet." And I think Boston was like probably looking at the same sites I was looking at, watching
Mhm.
the same TV shows I was looking at because they came out and they put on a fucking masterclass. They put on a masterclass. They held Kyrie Irving to 13 points. Luka couldn't hit a shot. And really, Luka was getting some open shots and missing. So if he was on, it might have been a closer game. But I mean, at halftime, it was like a 24-point game. It was
And
crazy.
it goes into I've said this on pod. I said when we watch the Celtics play in the house, whether it's against the Heat game on Thursday, it's like you can't like miss a lot with Boston because especially if they're firing on all cylinders, whether it's from the
Mhm.
3 point line, whatever, you know, you go down, they go down, shoot a three, you go down, you miss. They come down, shoot another three, you go down, you make a two. Now it's 6-2. They come down, they score two, you come down, you miss a shot, they come down and score another three, and in like 5-6 possessions, it can be a 14-point game, just if you're missing shots or whatever. And so um I'm not necessarily saying go for score with them, but you can't miss a lot. And that's how, at least like with us, that's how they would kill us. Is that they would, they come down and hit six threes and like 8 possessions, and then we only hit 2 shots, whether it's a three or a two, and you're down, 8-10 points.
Mhm.
And but I didn't expect that. I thought Dallas would look a little bit better. Maybe it was the rest, but it don't seem like the rest impacted the Celtics.
Boston.
But I think they'll bounce back in game two because I mean, like you said, Kyrie 13 points. That was just uncharacteristically trash.
Mhm.
Luca missed. It's not like I've saw some stuff where people are making it seem like Luca just got held down. It's something I hate that they do when like a star doesn't play well and they make it seem like it was like this blistering defense that
Right.
that stopped them versus them just missing shots. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
No, they've
so
been doing that all week. They're like, "Oh, we switched up on them. Our guys play defense. Get the fuck out of here." He missed a lot of wide open 3-point. Like I'm talking about wide open 3-pointers. And so if he hits 5 of those, it's a whole different game. And to your point, that's how it started. That's how the game started. They were coming down. They were going, make a basket, miss a basket, make a basket, miss a basket. And Boston was hitting, hitting, hitting. Halftime, they're down 20. In the second half, they ended up getting it down to 8 points because they started to capitalize on all of those possessions. Every possession for Dallas was, you know, do or die, and they were making shots. And then they went on this quick run in like a 3 minute, 4 minute span right at towards the end of the third period, and it jumped back up to 16, 17. And then going into the fourth, they spiked back up to 22. And at that point, you're just like, all right, it's
yeah,
this shit's a wrap. At 6 minutes, Jason Kidd pulls out Kyrie and Luca, which makes absolute sense. Like we didn't see New York do that. That's what we talked about with Jalen Brunson sitting in there, even though they were getting blown out. Like get these guys out of there, save their legs. Game two is a whole new game. You're gonna be down one, but here's the thing, right? Boston, I think Porzingis was the spark. We talked about that last pod, right? And I said I think Porzingis is huge. Pause. Um, he was. I mean, I think it was masterful for them to have him come off the bench versus starting
mhm,
because when he got out there with the second unit against the Mavs and their second unit and a struggling Kyrie, he kept it moving, and that's how I think they built their lead even higher and even higher and even higher, right? So, and he came out hot. So if he was cold, it might have been a different story, things like that. But these guys just look good, and Jason Tatum had a down game. So if Tatum gets his shit together, Jalen Brown continues to play the way he's playing. I don't know, man. I chose Boston in 6. I even have the bet still sitting there. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm concerned here. Now, on the flip side of it, you could say, hey, they did what they're supposed to do. They came out, they protected home court, in game one. They
Mm.
still have to protect home court in game two, because tonight, game two happens. Even if they lose in a close margin by 1 point, right? If Boston lose by 1 point, now they've given the series they put the blah, 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 they put the Mavs into the
Yeah.
driver seat, um to kind of control the series from there, and all they have to do is win at home from now on, and they win the series. So um I think hopefully it's gonna be a better series. But that first game, man, if that's gonna be, if we're gonna see more of that, oh man, it's gonna be a boring series to me.
Yeah, I mean, I want, I think the Celtics win the series, but I just don't. I just hate them, so I don't want them to. But yeah, they definitely got to get going, man. Both Luca and Kyrie, and I think we see a different them tonight. For like I saw a lot of like talking heads on the shows saying like, oh, well, Luca's been a pro since he was like 8 years old, and
Hmm.
playing all these big games like this is, and it's like, yo, like it's different on this. Like
It's different.
one thing playing in these big games when he was in Europe or whatever, like you're on the biggest stage for basketball. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so now, I think maybe a little bit of that may have hit him where it's like, damn, lights are mad bright, but okay, we've done that, got one under your belt. Now let's get it going. For Kyrie, not so much. Like I said, like Kyrie's already been here before,
Yeah.
he's won a championship, came up clutch in like the biggest moment, and so like 13 points is just you can't have that from your number two guy. And it's not even like he's some number two guy who's like a scrub. Like, man, I hope he can get us 20. Like we're talking about
Right.
Kyrie, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
He can
yeah,
get you 40.
exactly. He had to show up tonight, him and Luca. Like I
Jason
think
Kidd
need to see I need to see like 55 from them combined. 55 plus.
Yeah, or more. Jason Kidd has to find a way to get those other guys to show up as well. Like the Lively, who's a rookie. It's a huge stage for this kid, right? In your rookie year, you're playing in the finals. Huge stage. Gafford, who a couple year guy who's been on shitty teams all his career, comes in. Now you're playing in the finals. Derek Jones, another guy who won a slam dunk contest, but that's all you know him for. You know him for anything else. These
Yeah.
guys have to get going. And I think also the key to winning and this series for Dallas is they're gonna have to use Luca, his size, to get to the paint and get some of these guys in foul trouble. And they're
Yeah.
gonna have to try and get them into the penalty as early as possible every quarter, and try to get as many foul shots off. I mean, it's the blueprint, right? That's what Dirk Nowitzki did. It's what D Wade did. It's what when you're outman like this with just general talent, you
Yeah.
got to find that way. And I think Boston on paper has far more talent than Dallas, so they got to find ways to win. And the quickest way to win is going to be getting Boston undisciplined on defense, getting them to commit fouls, and making free throws.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. You get to the line, and then some of those contested shots become barely contested. Because people don't want to pick up an extra foul. They don't want to put you back on the line, and you go to the hole, and you're not facing as much adversity down there. You get guys swatting, but they're not really trying to block. They're just trying to look like they're playing defense. So I
Hmm.
totally agree. Start going to the paint. Start picking up some calls and get these guys in foul trouble. And it don't even got to be the stars in foul trouble. It's basically like you said, you're trying to get them in the penalty, so that way, you can start, doing what you want to do, kind of more at will.
Yep. Yep. The Al Horfords, like you got to be able to you have to get him in foul trouble so he's sitting, so Kyrie has a lane to the basket without a 7 foot guy in the way. Like that's the type of thing that they got to do.
Yeah,
Um, I think it'll be. I hope it's a better game tonight. I think it will be a better game. I did take that bet like you did with Kyrie being MVP, but we're
yeah,
gonna need the Mavs. We're gonna need the Mavs to win this. For that to happen. I may go check the odds on some of the other ones now and see how they've moved, and maybe sneak in a little Jalen Brown one, because his was I think plus 3,000, while Kyrie was plus 2,000. So that would have been a good bet as well. And he's already started hot. So If
Yeah.
that dropped to even, plus 1,000, it might be, a worthy bet to go ahead and put in and try to hedge the Kyrie MVP bet.
I was talking about Jalen Brown with a friend of mine the other day, who listens to the pod, and I was telling her, Tatum is one of the most overrated stars in my opinion, and I've said this before, and she's like, "Why? Like Tatum's good, and I'm like, "It's not that. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he's overrated, and I was like, part of the thing is like when you look at some of these teams with stars, there's a clear Batman and there's a clear Robin, and you don't know who that is on the Celtics.
Hmm.
Sometimes it looks like Tatum, and sometimes it don't. You know, and you know, like I can't imagine, like these guys, like you know, Kobe, Wade, Jordan, who just they're being shown up, you know, by their number two in the finals. And Tatum, I mean, it's ridiculous to me. I think the dude is so over. I remember Nick Wright did that thing where he has like he called it Club Superstar. And it's like here's who's in Club Superstar, here's who's outside, like waiting to get past the bouncer, and then inside Club Superstar, like here's who's like in the VIP. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And he had Tatum in there, and I remember I'm thinking like, why? Like I feel like he should be outside, like waiting to get in, because I don't know if he gets paid like a superstar, but there's times where he's not a superstar. It's not consistent enough for me.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place. I think that's the key word that you said. Consistency for him is what makes me question him sometimes. He has everything it takes. Like he can score from anywhere on the court.
Hmm.
Um, he plays defense. But he does get very emotional at times. You could see him getting emotional. You could see, and all the stuff that we've killed LeBron for in the past, you could see that in him. And but we don't see him getting killed for it. And I'm wondering if it's just because he's never really been in that conversation as the best player in the league. Once you get into that conversation, then people start to nitpick a little bit. But he does all the stuff that people bitch about LeBron for, which is, complaining to the refs, flopping, like it's regular. The difference is LeBron is generally, or has been historically in his career, far more consistent. I mean, he's had those single games that people talk about, like where he had bad playoff games and stuff like that. I mean, um, but it's not as frequent as Jason Tatum. And both of them have always had someone to kind of pick them up in those big moments. D Wade, Kyrie, AD. He's always had Jalen Brown, and now he's got a hell of a lot of other players going on over there. So Jason Tatum needs to get the criticism that he deserves. He has to show up in this series. If they lose this series and he doesn't show up, that's a
Hmm.
huge a telling point for us. And even if they win the series and he doesn't show up, at some point people are going to start to say, all right, now this is Jalen Brown's team. And I think after Jason Kidd came out and was like, he's the best player on their team. And I don't know if that was a shot at Tatum, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
if he really feels that way. I
I
don't know.
mean, I think it can be viewed both ways. It could have been a shot. Um, it could have maybe to make Tatum try to be more aggressive and play outside of himself. But it also could be true. It looks true based on what I've been seeing the last, two or not. I mean, this series only one game in, but last series, this game, Jalen Brown's been balling. I mean, he's a series MVP. The in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Has
But I
Tatum
don't
gotten
know.
his max deal already?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, both of them are on maxes right now.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know if the Celtics win and Jalen Brown's the MVP. I don't know if we see, people saying it's Jalen Brown's team. And I feel like there's like a certain like there's kind of like a bias in the not necessarily a bias, but like it's almost like the media can't find their way to changing their mind. So it's
Hmm.
like he's the guy, so he's the guy. That's it. And like nothing else no new information gets in because you
Hmm.
said this person is the guy, so he's the guy. And like as an example, like not to change the subject, but like this will hit home for you. With Dak, right? Dak is a turnover machine. And then last year, he has probably the best season of his career, minimized the turnovers, crazy yards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, I don't know about Dak. Blah, 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 Dak, 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 you know?
It's
So,
still a question. Still questionable. Yeah.
and so I don't think if they win, will the media turn around and start saying, yeah, this is definitely Jalen Brown's team and Jalen Brown's the guy, you know, blah, blah, blah.
I also don't know that Jalen Brown commands the audience like Tatum does. You know, if you're talking about Jason Tatum and you're showing Deuce, his little son, now
Yeah.
you got women in there, you got kid sympathizers, you got all of that are like, oh, we gotta watch Deuce, oh, you know what I mean? Where Jalen Brown now is just a single guy. At one point, he was with a baddie with Bernice Burgos, and you know, he just came out and said that he's single and he just been watching Harry Potter and that's how he prepped for the finals and yada yada yada. He's just boring. He's a boring guy, but he is also, isn't he like the president of the Players Association or something like that? I
I'm
think
not.
Jalen Brown. I think he's one of those. He holds one of those seats. He holds a pretty big seat there. The but really quick, well, you know, I'll look that up in a second. But the odds I was talking about, Jalen Brown is immediately dropped down to plus 300 for MVP. Tatum is plus 105. Kyrie went up from 2,000 to 3,000. Might be a time to double down on that a little lower.
Mhm.
And hope for the best, right? It's a risk, high risk, but shit would the reward be amazing. I might not do, you know, the same bet. Maybe I do half of the last bet, but then if that hits, that'd be a nice look. Derek White is plus 7,500, not likely. Drew Holiday is plus 10,000, and Al Horford is plus 25,000 for Finals MVP odds. There, the
Jalen Brown,
odds.
vice president of the Players Association.
Okay, vice
CJ
president.
McCollum is the president.
There you go. Oh, yeah. We don't even talk about CJ McCollum no more. He better stay there. that's the only. That's the only way he might stay in the league. Otherwise, the way he been playing, he might be up out of there. Who you got tonight?
I think Dallas gets it done, man. I think Kid gets them right. You know, he seems to be a good coach. I think he gets them right. I think especially having a guy like a Kyrie who has won a championship. You know, talk to the team, especially not even necessarily the team, but to Luca to like, yo, you know, let's get in our bag. You know, do what we got to
Yeah,
do back.
this
I
ain't
think
Serbia, nigga. This ain't
I think
Spain.
it's close. He said Serbia. I thought he was like Slovakian or something.
Whatever, whatever. It's not America.
One of the Eastern Bloc countries. But yeah, I think they get it done. I think it's close though. I don't think they. I'm like 5-6 point game, but I think Dallas gets it done tonight and then puts this thing back on even footing.
No doubt. I think Dallas gets it done. It's going to be a hostile environment again. Um, I just don't think they can hold Kyrie to 13 again. I think Kyrie's going to come out and be aggressive as he needs to be. And I got Kyrie going for 24 points tonight easily. And hopefully Luka puts up his 30. And to your point, if they get 54, 55 points, they should be able to, you know, narrow the gap here because Boston's not going to stay hot like that. They're not going to keep hitting threes. Um, you know, and they just now have to account for Porzingis. They probably didn't think that this guy, one, they didn't think he was playing. Two, he did play, and they didn't think he was going to play as much or as well. And apparently, he's not as hurt as it appeared. So, yeah, I think Dallas makes the adjustments necessary, and they go back to Dallas 1-1 after tonight's game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm looking. I still got this the Basketball Players Association thing pulled up, and I'm looking at this executive committee. Like, yo, who voted on this? C.J. McCollum is president. Grant
Mhm.
Williams is first vice president. Harrison Barnes, secretary.
Wait, the Grant Williams that be fighting people?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Bismack Biyombo as vice president. Malcolm Brogdon vice president. Jalen Brown vice president. Jaren Jackson Jr. vice president. Donovan Mitchell vice president, and then Jared Temple vice president.
I'll tell you exactly how we got here. Other guys didn't run.
Yeah,
That's what happened. You had the only superstar it looks like that ran for it was Donovan Mitchell. And the
Yeah,
rest of them was like, "Nah, I don't want no parts of this. I'm already in the media enough or something."
yeah. Like Giannis, you want to be in? I'm too rich for that shit. Like,
Nah, dog. What are you talking about? I'm trying to find out what a Slim Jim is.
you're
To
right,
be honest. Like, yo, y'all make omelets in America. Do you know what an omelet is?
right.
Giannis kills me with that shit. I fuck with him for that
I
though.
love that dude.
Um, yeah, man, we'll see. But we said it before. We said that this is a make or break season for Boston. Like, if they this could be the biggest melt. I mean, they made it to the finals, so that was the big piece. But they're still playing a team that's inferior to them. They're still playing an inferior team, and if they lose this, like this is very telling. Especially with Porzingis playing. If Porzingis, they have no injuries. Dallas has zero injuries right now in the finals. Everyone's healthy. They don't even have like a banged up. It's not even like, oh, Tatum was out, game 2 of the semis round. Like these guys have been healthy the whole playoff time. They're
Playoff.
100% healthy right now, and they really shouldn't. They shouldn't have any problem winning this. And if they don't, if they find a way to lose this, I don't know if it falls to Missoula. I don't know if it falls to the personnel. Um, but it's a bad look if they do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I said last week if they lose, you got to start thinking about some kind of shakeup, whether it's the coach breaking up the team, whatever. But if to have this clear of a path to the finals, given that every team you played in the playoffs was without their star, and then you know what's so crazy is every team they played was without their star. But even if like the seeding shakes up, the teams that they didn't get would have been
Was
without
without their stars. Yep.
because of Knicks. Jalen Brunson breaks his hand in Game 7, so you was
Hmm.
gonna have the Knicks with no Julius Randle, no uh uh um uh
Jalen Brunson.
if the seedings differently and they face the Mavs, no Giannis, no Dame. Like I think the only team that wasn't hurt was the Magic.
Right. That's it. That's it. And they hurt. They hurt. They hurt with talent. The Magic, no, they got to go get a superstar or something. And that's the thing. The Magic have so much money this offseason, and I don't know who's available. I think KD's available.
Mhm.
I think there's some other people, but they have the money and the youth to be able to go get two guys right now and put them on a 2-year, 3-year deal
Yeah,
to play with these young kids before they even have to start paying Franz Wagner and Boncaro. Like you could easily go get this done and make the East a lot more put a lot more parity into the Eastern Conference.
yeah. I think for the Magic, it's gonna take one of two things. One is you guys land like a star, like a KD, like you guys land somebody that's gonna attract other people to come.
And they better not go get Clay Thompson. If they get Clay Thompson, I'm moving out of Orlando. Like
Yeah,
that's the I'm out.
you can't do that. But so I think if you guys get a star that others are willing to come play with, that'll be the first. That'll be one option. And I think the second option is if you guys hire like a big time GM that can
Mm.
people in, like a Pat Riley figure. You know what I mean? Like somebody that people trust, and they're like, I know this guy is gonna get us right, and I'm gonna go play for him or whatever. You know what I mean?
They should hire JJ Redick. JJ Redick has history with the Magic. Maybe not as a GM, but put him somewhere on the staff. I mean,
And
he not getting. It seems like he's not getting the Lakers though.
well, I saw something from I love this guy. Like, my guy Nick Wright, who has a theory. He thinks that it is JJ Redick. He thinks that the Connecticut coach, I don't know his name,
Bobby Hurley, not Bobby Hurley.
really
Dan,
thinks is a smokescreen to end up getting a raise from Connecticut, and that it's still JJ.
it's possible. It's very possible. I mean, look, that's LeBron's guy. That's LeBron's guy. But then, if I'm the Lakers, do I want to bring a guy in that's that close to LeBron? Meaning, is JJ going to be the guy to be able to hold those guys accountable? You don't have a lot of time. You don't have 3 years for him to come into coaching. You don't have 3 years for him to be like, yo, I've learned how to do this now. Because by then, LeBron is 40 2 years old or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you need someone that's going to be able to come in there right now, command the respect, um, and get the most out of that whole team. And that's not just commanding respect from LeBron. I mean commanding respect from the whole team, and get that team going. I like Hurley as the pick. I hate losing him at Connecticut, but I like him because all season we heard LeBron talking about, dog, I'm not getting calls. Dog, what is going on here? AD's not getting calls. Other guys are not getting calls. We're not getting treated fairly in LA. And you're only hearing it from LeBron. Darvin Ham was sitting there like, "We gotta play better. We gotta do a better job." Blah, blah, blah. Dog, you know what Hurley be doing? He probably would run out on the court. He did. He ran out on the court in the NCAA championship, pushed his player, and caught a technical foul for it. Like, that's the guy you need so that LeBron doesn't have to be that guy. LeBron doesn't have to open up, social media and see people being like, "Oh, look at him bitching in post game conferences," right? He doesn't have to think about that shit because you have a coach who's going to be out there, lobbying for his team and saying, "Yo, we need these calls," like Denver. Like, I mean, you got these coaches that go out there and they fight for their team. And Ham is just not that guy, man. And I don't know if JJ Redick is that guy.
Yeah. I think I hear you and I agree with a lot of what you said. The only thing that I guess I would push back a little bit on is I don't know if the Lakers, I don't know how much they should weigh LeBron into the decision of the coach, only because I mean he's at the finish line of his career, and he's
Hmm.
basically his foot is like right next to the line, and then he's essentially doing like the Michael Jackson like lean forward from Smooth Criminal, like he's damn near over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, whoever you hire is going to be responsible for, this next season. If you have LeBron, who knows? Because we don't know what's happening with Bronny and that kind of situation. And then, whatever the rebuild is going to be, um, um, so in that sense, while I think hiring a rookie head coach for a storied franchise like the Lakers would probably be a mistake, and Hurley is probably a better choice given that he's a longtime college coach, he's won a championship, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be the better goal for you. But I don't. Again, I just don't know how much weight you should put on the LeBron side of things, given that you don't even know if he's going to be in your team next year. I think he stays in LA, but you really don't know,
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. He may not be there. Um, I just want to put it into perspective for you. The veteran presence that the Magic brought in this year was Joe Ingles. Just let that sink in. Joe Ingles, the guy that played in Utah, the 3-point specialist. That was the veteran presence. So if you add, I'm telling you, add something. These guys got something. I don't know. I wouldn't call them championship right away, but they're gonna grow and they're gonna get better. And the teams in the East are getting older and getting worse, right? We're getting back to that stage. So
Jimmy
let's
Butler might.
see. What's that?
I say Jimmy Butler might be available.
Yeah, no thanks.
He wants
Jim, I
uh
think he needs to retire, yo.
he wants a max extension, and Pat Riley seems like he's not giving it to him because
And he shouldn't.
gotta stay healthy.
And he shouldn't.
I
Get
agree.
the fuck out of here. How old is he? 33?
30.
32?
He's like 30. I think he's gonna be 34.
Dog, you're not LeBron. Enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Like, we discount a lot about LeBron, but he made it to that age because he has the longevity, because he trained. You constantly see him training. He's always, for the most part, healthy. Like, I'm not giving you a max extension in your mid 30s.
Jimmy's 34, and he'll be
Right.
35 when the season starts.
Yeah, you're not getting a max extension when you just missed the better part of the season and the most important part being the playoffs of the season. And not only that, you had the same type of thing happen the year prior.
Yeah.
Like, nah, dog, we're not doing this. Go sit down somewhere. Go. Matter of fact, go play for who's the bottom feeder in the league. Whoever that is, they might pay you. But if I'm the Heat and I'm Pat Riley, you crazy. It's too appealing of a place for me to pay a 34, 35-year-old guy that kind of money. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't see it happening. We do need to, maybe next week we'll pull up the available free agents, the veterans and stuff, and see what some of those makeups look like and where they could land. But we'll see how that looks. Uh, Big news, WNBA, of course. They are still making news, thanks to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and the others. Shining some light. But it was reported this week that Caitlin Clark will not be on the women's USA team. Um, how you feel about that? You think? I saw somebody compare her to Christian Leitner.
Yeah, I saw that too. And I did you see Jamel Hill's response?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I mean, Chef's kiss nailed it. She was like, people were complaining about Christian Leitner back then because they put him on the team instead of Shaq. And so, I'm fine with Caitlin Clark. I mean, she's a rookie. Yeah, she was a phenom in college or whatever, but it's not like they put a bunch of slouches on there on the team. The team is good. It was good last Olympics. It'll be good this Olympics. And then she can go and get on the team next year. Plus, on top of that, I'm assuming that USA women's basketball is doing the same thing. But remember in '08 when they revamped the whole US Team USA, and it was like, yo, you're not gonna just show up, oh, I'm gonna play, yeah, cool. You got to go through the trials and be there, and 2 years before during the summer league and all that kind of stuff like that to build the chemistry, so that way we can be ready to go for the Olympics. And Caitlin Clark has not been doing any of that stuff, so I don't have
Mm-mm.
a problem with them not putting her on the team.
Yeah, and the reality of it is, I mean, as good as she was in college, she's struggling to adjust to the pro level. Whether it's because she's being, fouled harder, being pushed, I mean, and she's on a shitty ass team. But even with a shitty team, like we're not hearing every night that she's going off, right? We're seeing once a week she's going off. Like the other night she had something like 30-some points.
Yes, but
Um, but we're
seven.
not seeing that regularly, right? So to me, I can see room for other people. Like because she's being overshadowed, you have somebody like Asia Wilson, who this season, right
Mhm.
now, is averaging 28 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals.
Damn.
And nobody's talking about her. They're talking
Mhm.
about Caitlin Clark, they're talking about Reese. And Asia Wilson is doing that. And she's on Vegas and they're 5-3 right now. So you know, I get it. I love Caitlin Clark like the next person, the next enthusiast of college, and I understand that her impact to the league being uh magnified, but it's a different ball game, and I agree 100% with the Christian Leitner take. Like I remember, like we all remember that we lived through that. We was outside
Mhm.
for that. So when they started putting the team together, and I'm like Christian Leitner,
Right.
what are
Like,
we doing here? And he didn't even play a part. Like it's different if
exactly.
if they selected him, he went out there and balled, but nah, dog. You got me messed up. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm fine with them not putting her on the team or whatever. I definitely, salute Caitlin Clark to what she's doing for the game. And this is the thing too with the way, like, the kind of smoke that she's getting from some of the other players that I don't like is that these women, some, not all of them, some of them, the ones who are like putting the hate on Caitlin Clark, have to understand that Caitlin Clark is going to be the reason why their kids, at least, because some of these people, they have kids and then their kids become athletes or whatever. You know what I mean? So some of these women may have a baby that becomes a WNBA star, and Caitlin Clark is going to be the reason why, instead of your kid getting a $250,000 yearly salary for the NBA, they're gonna have a
Mhm.
$3 million salary. The
Right.
same way that you know Michael Jordan, I think the most he made in a season was like $3 million.
Hmm.
Michael Jordan made less in his whole career than LeBron makes yearly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I think these, like, they, I'm not saying like you gotta bow down to her and just let her rip and run or whatever, but like the kind of energy and smoke they're giving her, like in the media and on Twitter, and it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
They gotta
um
understand what she brings to the table.
Yeah, I looked at a clip, not a clip, it was a picture from the when she scored the 30 the other night or whatever.
Mhm.
And like it's like a capacity crowd. I think they said it was like 18, 19,000 people in the arena that they played in or whatever for a WNBA game. The games are on TV now. They're flying charter. You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Right.
You know,
Right. You're not on Spirit no more, ma. You
exactly.
know what I mean? You got a direct flight. You're on the tarmac. Like, let's get it together. I watch. It's funny you say that because I started looking at ticket prices to see. Like, I've never considered, never ever in my life thought about going to see a WNBA game. Never. And I grew up in Connecticut, so Connecticut Sun, like, they there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go see Caitlin Clark play. You know,
Yeah.
so that just tells you how much impact that it has. But when I looked at the prices are crazy. The prices are crazy for a game against the Fever because they know what she's commanding, what they can make off of her. They have
Mhm.
to respect that. They have to respect. You can be as mad as you want. Sure, Angel Reese, you're big, but you're gonna draw, but you're not gonna draw like that. You're not gonna draw like that.
Yeah. And for me, like I'm the same way, right? Like I wasn't thinking about going to a game, but I was like, yo, I should buy a jersey. I mean, we don't got no team in Miami, but I was like, maybe I could buy a jersey from, the Atlanta team. They're close enough,
Hmm.
or LA Sparks jersey or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just to show some support or whatever. Like, and I'm a person who has never thought about watching a WNBA game, but I watched the finals last year not last year, the season before when LSU won. I watched a lot of the tournament this past season. I don't watch college basketball. I don't even watch the men play, and I
Yeah.
watched a lot of those women's games. And like they're opening. And I get it. Like Angel Reese is like, oh, dude, I was here too. And I get that. You know what I mean? But like, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. Carmelo was there too.
Exactly.
Like let's right. Like, and really, Carmelo. A lot of people will argue that Carmelo should have gotten Rookie of the Year. A lot of people will argue. Numbers wise, and they may be right, they may be wrong, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, yeah, come on, dog, relax.
So yeah,
You
that
got
that
to
it's
calm down.
it's yeah, they gotta chill, man. Again, play aggressive, play her hard, but like all the personal stuff, man, it just seems out of pocket, man. Especially
Yeah.
for what's coming. And you never know, man. The way, weird like think about with these franchises where it was like, I remember I saw things saying I think his name's Art Rooney, the guy from the Rooney family who owned the Steelers. I think
Hmm.
he bought the Steelers back in the 30s or the 40s for like $2,500 or something like that. You know, and then you think about in the 90s, I think or the 80s, I think I saw that Jerry paid like 20 million for the Cowboys or something like that.
Yeah,
It was something. It was
damn near free.
yeah, compared to now, and then the Commanders just sold for what, $6 billion. You know what I'm saying?
And
And
they're a
so
losing team.
yeah, and so you think about the fact that the WNBA has, what is it, 10 teams, I think, total?
I think
Uh,
they got 12. I
12
think they
teams.
got 12. Yeah.
12 teams total. So you're talking about a league that's probably getting ready to start having expansions, you know, TV money. So I'm saying like some of these women's kids, it might be 2-3 seasons from now that they
Hmm.
start, you know, and so they need to, like show a little bit of, uh, 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 some respect to her. I'm not saying on the court again. I'm not saying let her score all this bullshit, but like, recognize that like this person is doing something for you.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the WNBA. I was thinking about it the other day, and maybe they need to find a new window of time. Like maybe they should start kicking off the season later in the year, like mid June, mid to late June. Sure, it'll run into the early stages or preseason of NFL, and NFL is hard to compete with. But they're playing now during the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals. You know what I mean? So you're not going to get the draw that you want. So I think if they find that pocket, they find a good pocket, and I think maybe that's what they were doing. They were probably thinking, let's start the season here, and I guess they don't want their playoffs and their finals to run in the middle of NFL season because that's tough. But the NFL is Sunday, Monday. Well, shit, damn near now it's Thursday, Sunday, Monday. They're gonna start opening up Friday games. I think he's got Saturday games coming this season. So
I think this season they have a game on every day of the week except Tuesday.
Tuesday is the only day. Whatever happened to the I guess they don't give a shit about high school football no more. They don't care about the Friday night, Friday night lights joint.
Hmm.
But
And so like we need all the eyeballs. Like fuck high school. You'll see.
yeah, give us the money, yo. Give us the money.
But no, I think it's
Um,
a good point about the WNBA season. But for them, with only 12 teams, it might be where it needs to be now, given that they only got a few teams. They're not gonna have a super long season. Maybe once they start expanding, they can think about potentially shifting it or something like that. But and also I think another thing that's been really good for them is the NBA players that go to games now, because I think that's going to be huge to helping this league grow, to having the NBA players show up, having celebrities show up and stuff like that. Just like raising the profile more and
yep,
more and more to help that league grow, man.
yeah. Listen, when my girl Juju get up there, it's about to be a wrap. Juju's a beast, and she got a lot of you know what it is? She's got a lot of endorsements with NBA players. So people are going to start to recognize her face based on seeing her in these commercials with NBA players. Like she's got endorsement commercials with LeBron. She got an endorsement commercial, I want to say, with KD as well. So people are going to see her face in some of these things, and then when they finally see her in the WNBA, and she's a monster. Like she's a freaking monster. There's gonna be room, but yeah, the NBA players should continue to do that, and then they're supporting them. I liked what I saw the other night when Lonzo Ball popped out and was like, "Yo, Angel Reese, I'm gonna pay your fine. Don't worry about it." You know what I mean? When she got ejected, I thought that was dope. Right message, wrong player. Like Lonzo Ball, you ain't played in about 4 seasons, but you getting free money. But I would like to see some other big guys do stuff like that, right? I would like to see a big player come out like Paul George or somebody like that will come out and be like, "Yo, listen, we got you." If something crazy like that happens.
Yeah, like Jimmy Butler pulled up to the LA Sparks game and was there with the Cameron Brink jersey on. So
Mm,
and even that, I know this chick's name, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. I
I
remember we
fuck.
had a talk
I know I know her name. I know why I know her.
last.
I know why I follow her now on Instagram too.
But I remember we had a conversation on Pod a while ago, and I remember saying like, I don't think I can name three people in the WNBA.
You are
And
right.
yeah, and so like it's totally changing, man, and it's gonna be good for them. It's gonna be good for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Um,
It's
real
well,
quick.
before you
Go ahead.
transition to this, is Adam Silver in charge of the WNBA too, or they have like their
Uh,
own separate
they
their
have
coach?
their own they have their own commissioner. I saw the only reason I know that, I can't tell you who it is or anything like that, but the only reason I could tell you that is because they did pull back the second technical for Angel Reese from the other night. And I recall them saying the commissioner, let me see. I heard them say their name. Uh yeah, WNBA Kathy Engelbert.
Okay. Now, do
Uh
WNBA fall under the NBA, but they just have their own commissioner?
I'm pretty sure they do fall under the NBA. I'm about 99% sure. That's some research that we'll have to look into. But the top line says Adam Silver reiterated his support for WNBA commissioner handling of the situation. So, hmm,
Oh my goodness!
yes,
I just scrolled down. I'm on the WNBA site. I was trying to find the commissioner, and then I got lost.
of course.
The Cameron Brink on here. I'm like,
I
look.
told you. I'm trying to tell you, dog. I'm trying to tell you. We really quick we talked about the them running into the NFL a little bit, but story came out this week that the NFL communicated to Philly and is it the Jets that they're playing?
Oh,
Who's it
in
that they're in
uh,
Brazil?
Philly, and shit.
It's
I
someone else that wears
Go ahead.
green. Oh,
I'll
Green Bay. Green
green
Bay.
because it's
Green
both
Bay and Philly.
teams with green that wear green jerseys.
Yep. Basically telling them that they should find alternate colors to wear for the game in Brazil because of the gangs that wear green in Brazil. Um, what do you think about that? What's your take on that? And how do you think the NFL should handle that situation?
So I was wondering when I first saw that report, did they mean like when they're out and about, or like actual like alternate uniforms for the game? Um,
I
um,
want to. I'm 99% sure when I opened the article, it was the uniforms, and they were saying that now they're going to be looking for white uniforms to wear.
Yeah, and so I love the fact that the NFL is trying to expand the base of fans and make the game more international, the way that basketball really is, and
Hmm.
in other sports like golf and tennis, etc. Whereas football is really more of an American thing, here in like Canada and stuff like that. So I'm all for it. But if you have to tell your players that they can't wear their jerseys in a game that you're doing overseas, that to me says you shouldn't be doing that game in the place where you're doing it.
Hmm.
Because I didn't hear any reports like that when they played in Germany or when they play over in the UK. Um, so yeah, it sounds like we shouldn't be doing a game there. And I'm pretty sure there are tons of other host sites that would love to get a NFL game, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure when they were looking to go somewhere else, they probably had people put in bids, and they it's just that Brazil won out, and maybe part of his infrastructure, right? We know Brazil just had they had the Olympics back in, what was it, 2012, I think. Was it '08,
Hmm.
2012, or
Hmm.
2016, whatever
I
year
think it
they
was.
had.
Yeah, I think it was 16.
Okay, so they had the Olympics in 16, so they're probably going to use like the track and field stadium, convert that to NFL or one of the soccer stadiums or something like that. So, making it a football stadium probably will be easy, and so that's probably what helped them get a game. But if you have to tell your players that they have to dress a certain way, and then I also saw something in chat, somebody posted saying they told them like they're going to be restricted to the hotel and stuff like that,
Dog,
like,
dog.
like the whole point is to grow the game, right? So you want the players out and about visiting, like think about all the images we get from when the teams go over to London or to Germany and stuff like that. Like Mike McDaniel made a point of sending the Dolphins to Germany early, so that way the players can have a chance to go explore the city and stuff before they had to start getting down to business. And here
Hmm.
it's like you almost like, yo, let's just show up the night before the game because I don't want to be
Right.
there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to Brazil if I can't go nowhere?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree 100%. I feel like even telling them they're confined to the hotels, right? Well, now what about my safety? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if it's that bad over there, what makes me think that I'm even safe in the hotel? What makes me think that I can sleep and rest my head? What makes me think that somebody's still not going to try and run up in the hotel and get us for everything that we do or don't have with us? Like, snatch one of us up and try to get money like that. Nah, this is extremely irresponsible at this point. Um, in my opinion. And when you talk about today, right? You could very easily just say, "Hey, look, thanks for the offer, Brazil. We gonna pull it back," and then you move that game to Philly, sell the tickets, or Green Bay, or whoever the home team is, and run the game regularly. Based on what came up. If you haven't known it until this point, right? Even if you were oblivious to the situation, and it just came out that you got to worry about this, I don't think the right course of action is, hey, let's get a note off to those teams and tell them they should do X, Y, Z. It should be, hey, let's get a note off to these teams and tell them, look, we're not moving here. Let's refund anything that we've received from Brazil for ticket sales and everything like that, and we'll go back there when things become a little bit more organized and safe. But we're not going to put our players at jeopardy and their families for that matter, because if I'm going to play in Brazil, right? Maybe now I can't. Now I'm definitely not bringing my family. I'm not bringing my wife and kids if I'm a player. You know what I mean? Like, eh,
And then you also it's like if you're trying to venture out to South America, like I get the choice of Brazil because Brazil is the largest country in South America. But I mean, South America's huge for football or soccer.
Hmm.
and you could have had a game in where did what's the name Messi used to play? Wasn't it like Argentina? I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, you could have did a game in Argentina, and they got soccer stadiums all over to where you could have had that converted for NFL or whatever. And been just as good with probably less chance of violence or whatever. Or whatever your concerns are. With this green situation or whatever. But I just think, it seems like it was a total. Um, it seemed like I don't know, either they didn't look into this well enough before they said yes to Brazil, but yeah, it just if this is the case, man, without you can't wear green, then you shouldn't even have the game there. Or maybe, I mean, I know we just made the schedule, or the schedule was just released or whatever, but how hard is it to flip it and say, well, we still want to keep the game, but this green situation is out of control, and we're going to send two different teams there.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. But I think even still, I mean, they're saying green, right? If you're just saying green as don't wear green because of the gangs, that means the gangs are there. That means that you have concern about the gangs. That means you have concern about the local law enforcement not being able to control the gangs. I don't want anybody there from my organization if
Yeah.
that's the case. Like I'm sorry, send them to Chile, send them somewhere like Costa Rica. Like you could send them so many different places where you don't have to worry about this. It just seems super irresponsible. And if I'm Roger Goodell, I mean, I know did he just get renewed or is he up for renewal?
I think
I
it's up
think he
for
just
renewal.
okay. I know what you're trying to do. We get it, but it's selfish. It is absolutely selfish. And if there's a casualty, oh, forget about it. Forget about it. If something does happen, you're not getting renewed. You're not getting renewed. You're gonna be the laughing stock of sports. There's already people hate you as a commissioner. Think they're gonna hate you even more. Hmm.
Also, I'm doing some research on this as we're talking, and apparently this whole green thing comes from Josh Jacobs. He claims that the NFL told him that in some interview that he did on a podcast. And Jacobs comments, he said, they said the part of Brazil that we're going to, you can't even wear green. I guess something has to do with gangs and stuff. They said we're not going to Rio. They told us it's one of those places where they probably won't even let us leave. They probably gonna have like armored vehicles following us. I said, bro, why are we out here? Why are we here? They was just like, just pack black and white colors uh, because they were like, when you come here, you don't want no mishaps. And then it says the next day, the NFL, through its spokesman, denied uh, the claims that Josh Jacobs made. And
Mm.
NFL spokesman, I have to scroll down to find his name here. I'm sorry. Crap. Um, Shit.
Do you think Jacobs has a reason to make that up though?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of a big thing to
It's
make
pretty
something,
direct. It's
but
pretty direct.
according to this NFL spokesman, I can't find the line of the story where he said it, but it was some NFL spokesperson said that the NFL has communicated nothing like that to any of the teams, and essentially, when you watch the game, you're going to see green all over the stadium. So he essentially saying he don't know what the fuck Jake's talking about, but
Hmm.
we'll see.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So then, what does the league do to Josh Jacobs? Well, right? Like,
Uh, Yeah, here it is. Michael Signora, NFL spokesperson, responded and said he tried to do his best to debunk Jacobs' claim. He reported, "You will see a stadium full of fans wearing the green of the Eagles and the green of the Packers." He also added that Jacobs' claims were not true, and discussion of color green is related to soccer with no impact to the NFL game.
hmm, hmm, we'll see.
And then the story goes on, and it says. Uh, Josh Jacobs. So it says a Brazilian community of Eagles fans on X, formerly known as Twitter, The origin of the misinformation might be a joke made by the Corinthians representative when the game was initially announced, saying in jest that the team should avoid wearing green. The Inquirer also notes that Sao Paulo Mayor Richard Nunez made a similar joke about the jersey colors at a recent press conference. Jacobs apparently got the message, posting, "Damn, I was misinformed. Sorry, Brazil. See you soon." Oh man, so we don't went on this whole thing for nothing, huh?
For nothing. Well,
This is, but
shout out to Brazil then.
yeah, this, this kind of shows the importance of just fact checking and stuff like that or whatever, just not listening to shit on the internet and running with it or whatever.
Viva Brazil.
Yeah.
Um. All right. Well, that was a waste of 10 minutes. Um. Yo, House of the Dragon starts next week. Is that still the case? Could you fact check that just to make sure that it's accurate?
June
Um.
9 p.m.
June.
HBO or Max, they're called now.
Yeah, Max. 9 p.m. That means I got to put my kid to sleep early next week. And
And
you know,
wait, I'm very, very excited for this season. Only because like I've told you guys before, House of the Dragon is basically is from the book Blood and Fire, which the whole book is like a history. It's like a history of of House Targaryen.
okay.
And so this storyline here, the Dance of the Dragons, is what it's called, is essentially like one chapter of that whole book. But I don't know how many seasons they're gonna do. I'm thinking like 3 or 4, because I'm not sure how you could stretch it beyond that, unless you decide to start getting into like whatever happens like once this was done or whatever. But um based off where we end in season 1 and what's to come, I'm thinking that it's not going to be like typical Game of Thrones where you got to wait for like episode 9 to get that big episode. Ned Stark dies, Red Wedding, Oberyn
Oh,
versus,
they.
and all those kind of big time, the Battle of the Bastards, all those big episodes 9s.
Mhm.
I'm not thinking that that's going to be the case. I'm thinking we should see some action in like episode 1 or 2 based on what's supposed to happen next or whatever. So I can't wait.
Yeah, this one, I think they're gonna start. It's gonna start with a bang. It has to start with a bang because they left us on a cliffhanger. They left us on a crazy cliffhanger, and it's a cliffhanger that, like, when you watch cliffhanger shows, you usually get some fire, wild ass fire before the cliffhanger, and then you're like, oh, what's gonna be the effect of that, right? And we kind of did. We got the scene, the dragon fighting and flying scene, which was really really fire. Like that, they did a great job with that. But um, it was still like it was a cliffhanger. Like this cliffhanger felt like they could have done one more episode and showed us them setting it off and then left a cliffhanger off of the set off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a long time to wait to try and remember all of the events if you're not someone that's paid attention or rewatched or anything like that. Um, to try and remember what's going to happen. And I think unfortunately, I think they're going to have a high audience, but I think their audience still falls off a little bit because of that layoff. How do you feel about that?
No, I think the audience is gonna be there. I think I think the show built up it almost like a, not quite there yet, but almost like a Star Wars kind of following, to where like they put something out there, they people are coming. I think the
Mm-hmm.
audience is big enough to where even with the long layoff and all this, pushbacks and stuff like that, that people are still showing up to watch. Even if the audience falls off some, I mean, we're still talking about millions and millions of people worldwide watching this show. It's not just like a United States thing. It's going to be worldwide people watching this show. So I think we'll be okay audience wise.
Do you think do you think the season is going to be what everyone expects it to be or wants it to be? Or do you
That
think they let us down a little bit?
so that is the question, right? And the reason I bring that up is that, or not that I bring it up, the reason I respond that way is that I feel like House of the Dragon is going to be a lot easier for the showrunners to kind of take some liberties to take the story where they want it to go. Let it
Mhm.
still stay on the main path, but they can still deviate a lot. And the reason why I say that is that unlike the original story where you have the books and the books are all told from the perspective of each character, right? So like in the original song, A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the name of the original series, right? Get the Game of Thrones series.
Mhm.
Um is the first book that's called A Game of Thrones. The series itself is called A Song of Ice and Fire. But
Right.
or book one, I mean, of Game of Thrones. But in that book, so like how like a typical book would be like, chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. In this book, like the first chapter is called Bran. And so everything that's happening in that chapter is all happening from Bran's perspective. So you're inside Bran's head,
Mm.
and it's how the showrunners get to when they put certain stuff in a show. This is like that because from the books, we not only know like this thing happened to Ned, but this is what Ned was actually thinking. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
so that's how the chapters are written. They're all written from a character's perspective. So you got Bran, and then you get to Bran 2. A few chapters later, Bran 3, Tyrion 2, Tyrion 4, what. But for the stuff that House of the Dragon is based on, for the book Fire and Blood, this is basically told from Grand Maester Orwell, who is played by the black dude who's the Maester in House
Right.
of the Dragon, and this character named Mushroom, who I believe they showed but didn't have any speaking lines in that wedding episode when Rhaenyra marries um Laenor.
Mhm.
Basically, these two guys essentially told everybody what happened. And so, but they weren't there for all of it. So some of the shit they've made up, some of it is stuff they've heard,
Like the
whatever,
Bible.
pretty much. You know what I mean? And so because of that, you're
Oh, lost BP for a minute. Um.
had an ambulance screaming by in my neighborhood. So I
Oh.
don't know. Sorry. Um yeah, so because of that, you have a unreliable narrator essentially. I think it's going to allow the showrunners to kind of do like follow, like again, like I said, follow the main story to get you from A to Z. But like in between, they can be like, all right, well, we're gonna go from A to F, and then we're gonna come back to C, and then jump to Q, or what, you know what I mean? So that part I think is gonna be interesting for like book fans to see what they do with it.
I need to go back and watch and watch and keep up with it because I forgot some of it, so I need to pay attention. Go back and pay attention, maybe just to some of it. Do a quick watch, but maybe I'll do that next week, sometime next week before the new season goes, because I completely forgot who Lenore was until I just looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, now I remember
Because
by
even like
name.
that, that's something they took a liberty with. Like in the book, he dies. Where in the show, they did a fake death and then
Hmm.
let him live. But then that kind of put like that for books folks, like these dragons are like connected to the writer. Like there's some kind of like psychic connection. Like George R. R. Martin doesn't really explain like how it works or whatever, but it appears to be like some kind of like psychic connection that the writer has to the dragon. Which is why like when what's his face with the eye patch? I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, when he gets the big dragon at the episode for the funeral, when they
Hmm.
leave the ship, you see the dragon take off with him because the dragon knows like my guy is leaving, you know. But if Lenor is still alive, but his dragon is still back with the family or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they don't make any sense for the way that they presented how the story works in the books and show. But here we are. You know what I mean? So I
Right,
think showrunners are definitely going to take some liberties and kind of make things their own and kind of do what they want to do here, which I'm fine with if it's good.
as they should. I can't wait to see Damon. Like that's my dude right there. Oh, look, is a G.
Martin said, he said, when somebody asked him about something that happened, like when in the book they did this, but this next book that hasn't come out yet, and he said, look, the show is the show, the books are the books. They're two separate things. Yeah, they're based off the books, but the showrunners do some stuff that comes directly from the books, and some stuff they take liberties and doing their own. So don't, you know, like you got to separate them. So I'm like,
A-
okay, we'll see.
Amond.
Amon,
Amon is, yeah. I
Amen.
look forward, Amon. I look forward to watching it. I think if since they took that extra time, um, I think the graphics are going to be great. I feel like they did so much better with the dragons in HOD than they did in
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. So if they can expand on that in any amount, no matter how much they do, it's going to be great. And I think, didn't you say at some point that this season we'll probably see more dragons than the first season?
Yeah, we should see more dragons, and there should, based on what happens in the book, there should be at least one aerial dragon on dragon combat scene. There should be more than one, but we should. I don't know if they have the budget to do more than one, but we should get the one. So
Okay.
the
Well, they
one
did
that's
they did
main.
great with it at the end of last season.
Yeah.
They
So
did that was
this one should be like like that was kind of like a sneak attack. This one should be like actual aerial combat.
that's what's up.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like
what's up.
we watching a Top Gun with dragons.
Maybe we'll get that right up front and then we'll get another one towards the end.
Hopefully.
Um but yeah, they did a good job with that, man. Like I thought that might have been one of the best CGI shots that I've seen on TV in a long time. Like
Mm,
I can't think of anything that's been that good. They did an amazing job with that. So
yeah.
I look forward to it. Hopefully this season is just as good as the first season or better. Um, you know, like I said, I'm excited for my guy Damon. Like I bugs with him. He seems like the type of scumbag I would have been back then. So
And
you
he's
know,
not. That's the thing. That, again, another difference show and book. In the book, all of the characters in this Blood and Fire book, they're written to be like really gray. You know, they're not black and white. They're kind of down the middle. But it's almost like the show wanted to make him a villain, and so they've made him like this bad boy. The first episode, you see him executing people. You know, you see him, unalive his wife, which doesn't happen in
mhm,
the books at all. You know what I mean? So it's almost like they just tried so hard to make him the villain, and then because of how we love anti-heroes now, everybody just gravitated to him.
yeah. Well, I think because a lot of the other characters were vanilla. You know what I mean? Think about what's another character in that first season that you could have gravitated to that was action packed and that you would love, other than
Yeah, that's true.
what we just talked about. What's and I forgot just that quick. Scarface,
Oh, amen.
Amen, and he's a that's a bad motherfucker right there too. Like
Mm.
so I think it was just because everyone else was kind of vanilla. So if you're someone that likes that type of character to keep you engaged, that's why I think Damon became so popular.
That's a good point. And also, he was the same character throughout. Whereas you start off with young Rhaenyra, young
Hmm.
Aemon, young so and so, and then after episode 5, they flash forward. Now you got the adult versions. So you had a chance for him to grow on you the whole season. So that's a good point.
Yep, yep. It's gonna be good, I think. You been watching anything new?
Um, man, we haven't did bingeables in so long. I've watched a bunch of stuff. I checked out. I've been watching, my usual stuff, Survivor, or that's over, but it's finale. We had the finale, Amazing Race finale. Um, Abbott Elementary. I've been checking. I love that show. It's very funny. Um, um, oh, something interesting I saw on Abbott too. I wanted to mention to you guys. I saw an interview with Quinta Brunson, the
Mhm.
creator and showrunner,
Yeah,
and she was like, when they're in the writers' room, she has a strict like no phone policy, and she was like, because she don't want them like getting stuff from the internet. She was like, we run this show like us in this writer's room, so let us create the show and come up with the ideas and stuff like that. and she was basically saying like how she think it's been really good for the show because there were people who were saying like, oh, they need to do an episode where they have a like a school shooting, or they doing like the drills and stuff like that. And it's like I get why people would say that, but at the same time, like this, I'm watching a comedy show to break away from the realities of real life, and
Yeah, I
so
don't know if that fits in there.
yeah, so but I thought that was pretty interesting that she was like, they're not trying to do that social media stuff and just follow whatever, do temperature checks on, hey, this is what the people think we should do, so let's write an episode for it or whatever.
Right.
But
Shout out to her for that.
yeah. I also checked out there was a joint on Netflix that Madam Web. I watched that.
Hmm.
That shit
I saw it. I saw it, but didn't watch it.
garbage. Trash.
Really?
It's so terrible. It is so what do we always say about Netflix? Like it seems like somebody, yo, I got this script. Say less.
Right.
Dude,
Writers. This one came up while the writers were on strike. Let's go. Let's give it a shot.
it is so garbage. It almost seems like Sony was like, man, Disney hasn't done a Marvel movie in a minute. Maybe we should put something out on our own. We still own
Mm.
Spider-Man, and they put out Madam Web, and it's so like they tried to do it to where they've tried to like change up the timeline. So
Mm.
like, in the Madam Web joint, it's like Peter Parker, like the one that we saw in the 90s in the original Spider-Man, like doesn't exist. This one's making it seem like our current Peter Parker he's being born in this one or whatever.
Okay.
So you meet Uncle Ben, like a young Uncle Ben, and the Madam Web chick, she don't need all her powers are is like she can like have visions of the future. No web slinging, no crawling on walls or whatever. And then these three other girls get powers too, which is like Sydney Sweeney and these two other chicks or whatever. But you don't see them get powers. You only see them have powers in visions. So they
Sydney
have.
Sweeney got powers. She definitely got powers.
So by the time the movie ends, like they still don't even have powers yet. So I guess if they make a part two, they're gonna have powers. It
You
was
should have known it was going to be trash since it didn't make it to movies.
it was terrible, And they did this thing which I don't even understand why they did it. Like they cast Sydney Sweeney, and we know why they cast. Like she's a young star. She's the new hot thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They cast her to be a high schooler, right? So like the three girls who are supposed to get powers in the future, I guess, all
Yep.
three are supposed to be in high school, but they're all played by adults, obviously, right? But then you have Sydney Sweeney, who what is she known for? Having big ass titties. So they basically like try to like make her look, you know what she looks like? I'll give her an example. So kind of put it in your head. She remember Britney Spears in that video for her first single, when
Oops, I
she's like
did it
dressed
again.
like a schoolgirl.
Oops, I did it again.
There you go. Oops, I did it again. They dress her like that, but then it seems that they try to do everything to like hide her boobs or whatever, so you can't see
Oh,
them. Because you're supposed to have like the schoolgirl image or whatever. Like it was just ridiculous, man. The movie it's terrible. It's terrible.
what's the name of it?
Madam Web. It's part of the Spider-Man universe.
Well, it ain't gonna be part of mine.
Yeah,
I saw that. I saw it pop up multiple times, and I just didn't get around to watching it.
yeah.
I'm kind of maybe I'll watch it. I might still
It
go
was
check it
just
out.
some of it just made no sense at all. Like this chick is like she goes from being a paramedic to like a stunt driver, damn near driving ambulances out of second floor building. Like it's like what's happening here, yo? Like
Right. Yeah, I found some shots from the movie. I see what you mean by them trying to hide some stuff.
yeah,
Trash. They
it's
keep
the movie's bad. And
they
then
can keep
these girls that are supposed to, I guess, become Spider Women or whatever you want to call it at
Spider
some
Woman.
point. Even with like at least Sydney Sweeney, you know her. You know what I mean? So like you know who she is, you by her face. But the other one, they do no time or they give no time like developing these characters at all. So I can't remember their names from the movie. I don't even remember the girl's name, the one who played Madam Web. I just, remember her as Madam Web, and she's the girl who played the female in 50 Shades of Grey. That shit has already told me something because she was trash in that thing too.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm
mm.
not the thing you just posted there.
I like 50 Shades of Grey.
I've never seen it. Everything I'm saw on saw it was trash, so I never watched it.
You never watched 50 Shades of Grey?
No,
So what makes you think it was trash?
because everything I've seen on it said it was trash. And the writer of 50 Shades of Grey wrote 50 Shades of Grey as Twilight fan fiction. Who decided she basically was like, man, what if Twilight was like sexy, And so
Mm.
she wrote 50 Shades of Grey, you know. What if it was kinky, I guess? And then here we are. So, and I
I,
thought Twilight was trash. So
I I didn't watch it, and I don't think it has anything to do with Twilight, but I
no,
didn't
no, it has
watch it.
nothing to do with Twilight. It was like her thought was like, what if Twilight was kinky? So she made a story that's Twilight like, in the sense of, you have this new girl, people are like wanting her and all this kind of stuff.
I got you.
So
I got you. It was it was interesting. You should watch it. I think you would actually enjoy it, believe it or not. Um, it's so I watched I've been catching up on Power. Just this last couple of days, I started watching because I was only one season behind, and the new season started Thursday night for the
mhm,
last season of Tariq's Ghost season. And so it's actually it's pretty good. This last season that I missed, it started off slow, but it's gotten better. So I look forward to that. I've been watching that. And there was something else. I completely lost my chain of thought. Something else that I've been watching that I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk about it today. Can't remember. But also on Netflix, Perfect Match season 2 is out, so I'll be starting that. They said Tolu is on there from uh what was the name of the one where Traders, not Traders, the one that was like Traders, the Vault one. You know what I'm saying? Well, they said she's on there. So, Perfect Match, the first season was actually pretty good, and I'll watch the second season. It's another one of those Netflix reality shows that you got to be, got to be into the kinky trash TV. Yeah,
yeah.
something to pass time. I'll probably watch that. That's really it that I can think of. There, I can't remember what the show or movie was that I thought about it this morning. I was like, oh, we got to talk about it, but maybe next
I
week.
was gonna tell you, I was gonna remind you to get on Shogun, but I don't think you ain't gonna be able to watch it now. The House of Dragons coming back. I don't think you can put that much
Mm.
time out for
I,
TV.
I'm. I don't think there's gonna be anything that's gonna be able to be watched once House of Dragon starts.
But get on
Um.
that. Get on. I mean, Shogun. If you want, you could wait, like because they're working on. I think they're gonna do season 2 and 3. They said. They worked out a deal with the estate of the guy who wrote the book to expand it,
Mhm.
and so so maybe before season 2 drops, you could watch season 1. But it's
I'm.
good. It's so good, man.
I may be taking a long flight in the next couple of months. So if I do that, then maybe I'll just download it and watch it there.
Yeah, I mean that.
That's the best place to watch TV is on or to watch shows because you can't go nowhere.
Yeah. I used to do that with music. That's like most albums. I think I told the story before. That's why I think I fell in love with the Black Album for Jay-Z. I bought it right before I was going to Iraq, and I listened to the whole album like uninterrupted on a flight to Iraq. And I was like, yo, this is a masterpiece, yo. Like so
The
I
best
fell
thing
in love
ever.
with it. Yeah, I fell in love with that album. I mean, I already had Jay-Z stuff before, but like that one, like I know people talk about Reasonable Doubt and all. I like Reasonable Doubt. Don't get me wrong. I like all his albums really, but like that Black album, man, that just hit different for me. And I think it's just
But
because I got to sit down with it with like no distractions at all and just listen to it front to back and was just amazed.
Hmm. And it was a milestone, in your life. Like, you know what I mean? Anytime it's music brings you back to a specific time. Like the Black album for me brings back some dope shit too, because I went to his Fade to Black concert. They was supposed to be, retiring, during that time, and that was supposed to be his last show. And the shit was absolutely fire. Mary J came out, like, Beanie Siegel, all them, everybody came out at that show. The MSG sold out, and it's a DVD, and I'm on it.
I know.
So
I've seen it. I haven't seen the DVD, but I've seen the clip of you.
I shouldn't be asking for my royalties right now. Um, but yeah, that's probably why. But I'll probably give Shogun another run. It's just for me, no matter how good a show is, when I watch it, if the mouth doesn't match up to what's being said, it loses me. It
Oh, they
loses
don't do
me.
that on this. Oh, well, you're gonna watch it dubbed. So yeah.
Right.
I'm
You think
sorry.
I'm watching it and reading
I thought you were gonna watch it in Japanese, or because it's so
and
good in Japanese, man.
read? It's the same shit. What's
Mm,
the
it's
difference?
it's not. Like some of the stuff is different.
Do
Like
they
there's
say different things?
yeah, because like they for them, what I learned in watching like stuff about the creation of the show is they created the subtitles themselves. So the subtitles are
Mm,
like literal translations or whatever. Whereas if you watch it dubbed, like you're seeing like just an English translation, like that's close enough to
mm.
it.
You're saying it the way. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, but I don't know if I could sit there and listen to Japanese for 5 hours. What is it? 5 episodes? 6 episodes?
10.
Oh, definitely not. There's no way I could do
And there's
10 hours.
English spoken throughout because you have a white character there, so he's speaking English most of the time, and then he has a translator who is translating some of the like some of the Japanese and stuff like that.
The girl, right?
Yeah. So like there's one scene, not I won't spoil it, but there's one scene where they go to a tea house, which is like a brothel. That's what they called it back in those times.
Hmm.
And the the courtesan or like the the OnlyFans worker is she's
Courtesan.
like talking, she's talking or whatever, and then like so they like the first couple sentences she says is being translated. Then eventually what they do is they fade it to where her voice goes very low and you hear the Japanese, but it's like very, very low. And then all you hear is the translation in English. So it's almost like, it's not even, so they do a good job. I mean, like I told you before, even with the reading, they don't just like beat you over the head with dialogue where it's just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, where you can't keep up and you got to like keep rewinding to read or whatever. They take their time so that way you can read it, see the emotion on the character's face and all that kind of stuff like that. It's good, man.
That's like walking and chewing bubble gum, man. Watching the show and subtitle. That shit's crazy. I first started watching it with the subtitles, and then I went to the dub version.
Yeah.
I got through the first 2 episodes, maybe.
Of Shogun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I think I got through the first 2 episodes. I remember, yeah, when they came over on the boat,
Yeah.
dudes with the messed up teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild.
Even
That
that's
shit.
a big part of the storyline, like because like later in the show, like I don't want to spoil it. So but like, like you said with the messed up teeth, like for them, like I think this happens in episode 2, so this is not a spoiler, where like they bring him to the castle and she's like, "Oh, these ladies will help you with your bath." And he was like, "Another bath? I took a bath already." And she was like, "When? You in the prison?" He was like, "Last week or whatever." Like, "You want me to take 2 baths in 1 week? You want me to catch the flux?" You know, that's how they used to do back in the day. And so she's looking like, "This motherfucker don't want to bathe. What the fuck?" Like
Mm-hmm.
so, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Like you think about stuff like that, like the way that we lived, like as a people, like we thought taking more than 1 bath a week was
civilization.
like crazy.
But they were using, think about the water they were using back then. I
Yeah,
guess it was, still water, but I don't know. I'm wondering where we're gonna be in. Well, we won't be here, but where it'll be in, 100 years from now.
yeah,
You'll be able to. have OnlyFans physical feeling from home. Like that's the crazy part. It's coming.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is that all I had on the list? Bingeables to be follow up good season 1. What to watch when it's scorching outside? Fucking score. It's hot.
Ridiculous.
Hot.
It's gonna be an interesting hurricane season.
There was already 5 storms out there. 5. I'm sorry, 5 unnamed storms.
Yeah.
5. What do they call those systems?
Like
Dog, did you get hit the other night? Did you
yeah.
guys get hit? Oh my god, that hailstorm that came through was that shit was bad. I'm like, yo, where did this come from? We wasn't supposed to have no rain in the
Yeah.
forecast. I was actually
You
happy
are.
though because
I'm
my
not
grass
sure.
needed
How
it.
the hell are we getting hail?
Yeah, my grass needed it, so I wasn't too bad. But
Yeah.
man, shit. But it's nasty out, yo. 9900 plus degrees, feeling like, oh, get in the. You don't want to do nothing. Do
Nope.
nothing. Yesterday I went on a ride and it took like 40 minutes for my car to get cooled inside. That's how hot it was.
Yeah.
Fuck all that.
So for
I'm
you,
scared.
you'd probably be better off them pulling your car in the garage, turning the AC on, and come back in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's why I need to get a Tesla so I can just turn AC mode on. Have that bitch cold when you get in there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't know they
all
had that
right.
feature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it, man. That's all I had on the list. Anything else you had on the list?
No.
Well,
We're golden.
cool. Without further ado, if you'll take us out, hopefully we'll get EJ back next week. He says he's at a cheer competition, but I think he's probably at a tea house, like you're talking about. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, real quick, let me send a shout out to my boy TJ. He's up in Pennsylvania. He's at a bowling tournament, high school nationals. So, you
What
know,
part of Pennsylvania?
he's in Lancaster or
Mm,
Lancaster, However, I'm not sure how they say it.
Lancaster's right.
Okay, Lancaster. Yeah,
Hmm.
up there.
Traveling on his own, is he?
Yeah, him and he went with the um the girls team. So it's the whole girls team and then him.
Wait, wait, wait a fucking minute. How do you wait 2 hours to tell me this? You are a content hoarder. TJ went, okay. All right, dog. You got it. You got it.
So
He is in all his splendor right now.
so yeah, they up there. The girls bowled yesterday. He's bowling right now. So we'll see how he does because he's only qualified for the individuals. They didn't. The team didn't make it. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So yeah.
They probably got a hotel full of bowling kids.
Yeah, they're Airbnb.
Oh, they said it. Dog.
Well, TJ only stayed at the Airbnb the first 2 nights. He's at the hotel now because his coach went up there with them. So it's like some of the parents are there, and then the coach. So the coach wasn't coming until Friday, and so
So TJ stayed 2 nights at an Airbnb with the girls bowling team.
yeah.
Okay, bet. That's my dog.
so, but so yeah, but yeah, his coach. 'Cause we were like, yo, we don't know if we can afford it this year, man, with all this different stuff that he has to do. And so when his coach asked him, was he going? He was like, no. And his coach was like, why? And he was like, oh, my parents can't afford this year. And he was like, start coming to the fundraisers, and then that way you'll be good or whatever. So they raised a bunch of money, and the only thing he had to pay for was food. Everything else was covered by the team. So
Yeah, he should be doing a lot more, doing a lot of fundraisers, man. It's out there. People giving for stuff. So,
yeah, I was surprised they raised that because they did all the fundraisers at Boardwalk.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, like one night they went, man, they raised like I think like $2,500, like one night, just like a random Tuesday league night. So
Yeah. They could probably host 50-50s at the leagues.
mhm.
Those 50/50s and people will buy into that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you go win 500 of 1,000 off of a $5 ticket, and the other 500 goes to the kids bowling,
Mm-hmm.
that's all day. Do that
Yep.
shit on Tuesday Night League, which is the big one. Yeah, they can make some dough.
Yeah. So they did that, and then so the coach, like the Airbnb, the coach, he's paying for it with the fundraiser money. They rented 2 15-passenger vans, plus the hotels. 'Cause like I said, TJ, the coach, and TJ are staying at the hotel. TJ got his own room, but
Mm.
all that's being paid for with the fundraiser money. The only thing he has to cover is food.
So they drove to Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a long ride.
yeah. They left on a Wednesday morning, and then I'm not sure if they're going to try to come back today because they're bowling today, but today's the last day, so they're probably going to come back tomorrow.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, they're coming back. They're coming back on Tuesday. Never mind. I've been corrected.
TJ chilling.
Mm-hmm.
He having a hot boy summer.
Yeah, yeah,
Fuck it.
yeah.
I'm not mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure he probably brought his tablet with him, right? Probably his game system for the hotel.
Nah, he only took his phone.
Oh, okay. I tell you, these
Yeah,
kids are innovative, man.
yeah.
Shit, we just had magazines back then, so and VHS tapes. So you know,
So,
the opportunities are endless in your own hotel room at 18. You're gonna come
oh,
back dehydrated. You're gonna be like, "What's wrong with you, Dad? I can't see. I told you go blind, boy."
oh man.
Uh,
So,
all right. Well, that's all I got, man. Shout out to TJ. Good luck. Hopefully, this is what you said. This is
high school nationals.
this high school national. Even though school's ended.
Yeah, so they do. So basically, because to qualify for high school nationals, it determines how you do at state tournament determines if you make it. So he qualified through how he bowled at state tournament.
This is for more scholarship
No,
money, right? No.
I don't think they get scholarship money for this. No, not for this. This is just like kind of get your name out there kind of thing.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
But
All
I mean,
right.
you have folks there from school. Like I'm pretty sure coaches and
Oh,
he's
I'm sure.
he's already met some
Scouts and
kids from
shit.
Maryland. Yeah, he's already met some kids from Maryland and he got cool with them. They probably exchanged Instagrams and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe he gets scooped up.
Yeah.
Scooped up like a draft pick, real quick.
We were talking about that with Pam's daughter because they just did that thing where Florida can let the high school kids get the NIL money.
Yeah.
Pam's daughter is a beast, and she just finished her freshman year, so she only going as a sophomore, and she already won junior gold 2 years
That's the
ago.
same little girl that used to run around the bowling alley when we was
Yeah.
bowling.
hmm
Shit.
she's a beast. So
Really?
I was telling Aaron, I was like, you should tell Pam. I don't know if she knows about the NIL thing to look into that to see if she could get some sponsorships and stuff like that. I mean, it's bowling. It's not like she gonna be getting Clayton Clark money, but she might. There's even if it's we can give you this sponsorship deal for 10K or something like that.
Right.
Like it.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
put it towards school,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
And for the girls, it's better. Like the girls, for the girls who bowl in high school, the ones who are good, they can get full ride scholarships.
Because there's not
So
as many of them.
yeah, it's not as many of them. So that's how TJ's coach, Trevor, his daughter got a full ride.
Yeah. Shout out to her, man. I gotta get EJ. I gotta get Ashton to bowling. For real. For reals. That's easy.
Yeah, something you already know how to do. So
Exactly. You could teach. All right. I want to get back into bowling. Fuck, I'm talking about. I'm old though. I would sleep wrong and my arm hurts. So I can imagine if I
Yep.
bowl for a whole night. My shoulder probably fall off after a night of bowling right now.
Yeah.
But I'd be like Jesse up there. Remember Jesse used to
Oh yeah.
Jesse just get out there and let the ball fall. You wait 10 minutes for that shit to hit the pins. Yeah. All right. Well, get us up out of here. Good luck, TJ. Hopefully you knock it out the park, and stay safe up there.
Yep.
It is Pennsylvania.
All right, everybody. We definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us for this week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Like we always say, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people, let them know you're thinking about them. You never know what anybody's going on. You never know what anybody got going on in their personal life, what's going on in their head. So definitely reach out to your folks and let them know you care about them. Pretty sure you'll appreciate it. They'll be very appreciative as well. With that being said, man, for anybody who listened live, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday. For the folks who will listen once the episode posts, we appreciate you taking the time as well. Wherever you do listen, whenever you do listen, if you could leave us a like, a comment, subscribe, share, follow, help us with that algorithm, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And you can find us on all podcasting platforms, like Steve said at the top, by just searching at Castworthy. If it's a site that has a podcast, it's very likely our podcast is there. That definitely on all the big ones like iHeart, Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc. We're on all those platforms, so definitely check us out. And you could also follow us on any social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, and we very much appreciate it. With that being said, we will see you guys next week, hopefully with 3-man crew, for another fresh episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.